Hello and welcome to Face Value. My name is Munes Shoko. Today with me in the studio is Doron Kovensky from H3I Squared. Doron has been working with the industrial Ethernet and IP-based systems for over 10 years and has intimate knowledge of the design, implementation and maintenance of such mission-critical applications. Doron, once customers start enjoying the benefits from Ethernet, their next question is, how can they get secure remote access to their systems?
Very good question and a very big topic at the moment. Since most automation systems have migrated towards Ethernet, a lot of people look at cloud solutions for remote engineering access, and this is something that certainly makes for easier setup, configuration and ability to get access into your remote site. However, the concern comes in where who is hosting that cloud. So when we're talking about a cloud, we're simply talking about a server that's on the internet. Okay, that someone else has made the access easier to get into and out of. So if we look at systems like Dropbox or any of these file management cloud systems that make it easier for the average user to use TeamViewer and so on to get remote support, these are great for the average user, but these type systems, I do personally have a very big concern when we leave these systems on what we refer to as unattended access. So instead of installing it and only loading the instance that you need to run for then and what is required, what they ultimately do is they leave it running on the computer or the server indefinitely. And this is when it becomes a concern. So the one example I'll bring to light is TeamViewer. TeamViewer is an application that is based on a third-party cloud to give engineers and manufacturers easy remote access to take over control of someone's computer. And then they can assist the end user with troubleshooting, setup or configuration. Now, if they leave that connection connected with the access, yes, you do still need username and password to authenticate, but these types of massive systems often draw a lot of attention from what we refer to as, I guess, hackers around the world. And there has been an example recently where hackers were able to penetrate into the TeamViewer network, and suddenly some users who left the unattended access running on their PCs, suddenly the mouses and keyboards started doing their own thing on the computer, looking for their credit card details, for example. So it's very concerning. I think, yes, the benefit of the ease of simplicity of use is certainly there, but for industrial purposes and scenarios where we have to be a bit more conservative with our intellectual property, we should either host these services internally or we should look at our own more complex setup for remote access, which does require a bit more knowledge base, but we can you can secure your connection without hosting on third parties and worrying about what's happening on their systems.
Can you explain further the different ways of gaining remote access?
Certainly. So typically, in order to get remote access, you need a network that is connected to the internet somehow. Typically, this is done through ADSL, through 3G, satellite, or so on. Now, when that network connects to the internet, you get what we refer to as a global IP address. Now, this IP address uniquely identifies your router on the internet. So that way, we can all know how to get to your router. Then we've got to configure your router to open up the correct ports for the correct associated services we want to make use of. Once we've done that, then we've got to configure the firewall to allow only the allocated connections we want to come through. So we have our security. So as you can tell, we need quite a bit of knowledge and knowledge to set this up and configure it. So this is the primary method that we prefer because we consider it one of the more secure options. Yeah. Then the other option to avoid going through the whole setup of configuring your own IP address, your own global IP address, your port forwards, your routings and your firewalls, is to go through a third-party cloud, either third-party or internal, and that makes it much easier. Then you just load some software on your server, you load some software on your client, put in your username, password, and you're connected.
And what are the potential risks of each solution?
Well, I guess the risk of the first solution, of the direct access, you're much more minimized on your risk, but you do have to be running the correct firewall and continuously update the definitions yourself to prevent such attacks as denial of service or any other methods that people would want to approach in. The other way, I'm not so sure there is much you can do to protect yourself if you're hosting on a third party, besides to ask the third party for a contract and to request who takes ownership of responsibility in the event of an event.